Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. Furthermore, a great many people can connect with the tale of being terminated. The uniqueness of my story is that I was terminated from my dad. He offered one. Not as much as how someone would treat their pet, you know. And for everyone that continues to let me know, Mary needs to simply continue on. Steve Harvey continues to sink endlessly lower as new subtleties emerge about how he purportedly deserted his natural children, since they seem as though he was adoring Lori in light of the fact that she seems to be Marjorie. Steve's organic kids have allegedly battled their entire lives to get Steve to cherish and acknowledge them while he's given Lori everything. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, yet on the off chance that you imagine that is off base, stand by till you hear how Steve treated his child Wynton. From his second union with Mary. I knew Steve took Wynton for Mary and attempted to turn him against her, yet I had no clue about that both Steve and Marjorie genuinely, and actually hurt Wynton such a huge amount to the point where it left him with a super durable injury. I was really debilitated to my stomach in the wake of hearing what befell Wynton, and you will be as well, so we should get into this and separate how Steve Harvey abused his direct family while worshipping Lori. They kept me marking to extort me and Mary since you manhandled with him. I would have rather spent a period in prison in the event that I proved unable to have helped him. Steve Harvey's family show has taken a dim turn over these beyond couple of weeks, and individuals have gone from joking Steve for purportedly getting undermined by Marjorie to now shooting Steve for being a phony father of the year, and, surprisingly, some idiom that he should be examined for how he has treated his child Wynton, just to provide you with some setting of why many individuals accept that Marjorie likewise had an enormous part to playing Steve leaving his children. Let me provide you with a fast summary of their obscure relationship. So Steve and Marjorie originally ran into each other in 1990, and notwithstanding previously being hitched, Steve turned out to be so focused on Marjorie that he told her immediately he'd wed her one day. Not the very first word I told her was, "I don't have any idea what your identity is. Nevertheless, I will wed you one day." Around then, Steve was as yet hitched to his most memorable spouse Marcia, with whom he shares 3 children, twin girls Cognac and Carly and child Broderick. Anyway, Steve was supposedly undermining Marcia left and right, and he left her when she was pregnant with Roderick. Steve wouldn't have been associated with the children for a really long time, and Marcia needed to prosecute him to inspire him to pay youngster support. In the meantime, Steve had moved in with Mary Shackelford, who was his special lady, and they wed in 1996. Taking a gander at the timeline, Steve presumably wed Mary simply because she got pregnant, in light of the fact that only months after the wedding, Mary brought forth her lone youngster with Steve's child, Wynton. This is where we get to the revolting part in light of the fact that the manner in which Steve treated Mary and Wynton is past wretched. Now I'll be straightforward. Steve, truth be told, did an amazing job attempting to paint Mary as unpleasant in light of the fact that at one point I truly contemplated whether she was simply being chaotic in light of the fact that she's desirous of Steve and Marjorie. Yet truly, this doesn't have anything to do with Marjorie. And the genuine explanation. Mary has been making a good attempt for a really long time to uncover Steve on the grounds that Steve supposedly mercilessly hurt Wynton and damaged him for life. Okay. So in 2005, Steve reconnected with Marjorie, who by that point had 2 relationships behind her and 3 children, little Morgan and Jason from her union with drug top dog John Townsend, and little Lori from her union with one more medication ruler, Darnell Woods. Steve was fixated on Marjorie, and he was prepared to do anything she asked, and what Marjorie asked was for Steve to give his last name to her children and treat them as his own. Now, nothing bad can be said about Steve taking on Marjorie's children, and mixed families have been around starting from the earliest days of recorded history. However, what's going on is the way that Steve apparently began treating his own children as not exactly in light of the fact that they didn't come from Marjorie and I. Insider as of late told Radar Online that there's a ton of dispute among Harvey relatives in light of the fact that Marjorie wears the pants, and she clearly doesn't believe Steve's natural children should have a similar treatment as her own, particularly her prodigy Lori, and keeping in mind that numerous news sources attempted to contort this story, guaranteeing that Steve's natural children are desirous of Lori. The genuine truth is that these children, who are presently developed grown-ups, grew up watching their father offer all his adoration and consideration to another person's children while disregarding and abusing them One individual who asserted they went to secondary school with Steve's twin little girls from his first marriage guaranteed that Steve didn't go to the young ladies' graduation, and to the extent that Steve's child Broderick, he recently said he just had his father full-time from age 16. However, poor Wynton sought the most terrible treatment, and you all for reasons unknown. I feel like Steve and Marjorie were utilizing Wynton to rebuff Wynton's mother, Mary, and let me give you a trigger admonition since I will discuss how Steve supposedly severely beat Wynton when he was only 10 and afterward proceeded to genuinely mishandle him for a really long time. This is the sort of thing that Mary has been attempting to uncover for a really long time. Yet it was as of late that proof came out apparently demonstrating that Mary was telling reality with regards to how Steve utilized degenerate adjudicators and cops to get away from charges. So this occurrence happened when Wynton was living with Steve and Marjorie, and one end of the week it was Mary's chance to have went in with her. Yet after they dropped him off, Mary got the shock of her life when she saw that little Wynton was seriously hurt. This picture actually torment her right up to the present day. I see it consistently before I fall asleep, and it's right in front of me each day, and I need to express this for every one individuals out there that continues to let me know what I want to continue on and move past. Mary made sense of that. This is the explanation she never abandoned, attempting to uncover Steve, and keeping in mind that the entire world marked her as unpleasant and desirous. The main thing she needed was to get equity for her child, imagining that it has something to do with Steve Harvey. And it doesn't. He is who he's with. I'm happy he's around there. It's his twin. It's his match. I could mind less how ever what things that truly do tie me to, that is my child. Mind you, the episode occurred 14 days before Mary saw Wynton, so the way that Wynton's wounds were still so terrible after that much time, well, it's difficult to try and envision what he went through. As per Mary, Steve utilized a belt with a metal clasp and an oar, and afterward he stripped and went in to embarrass him prior to causing terrible torment for this 10-year-old youngster. Mary took Winston to the medical clinic, and when the medical caretaker saw his wounds, she promptly advised the police. As per Vibe.com, Wynton let the police know that his father beat him so severely that he experienced difficulty involving the restroom for quite a long time after the occurrence. Gracious, and by the manner in which the main explanation Steve did this to his own child is on the grounds that he got a call from Wynton's school that Wynton didn't turn in some paper yet. What truly got me considerably more distraught was standing by listening to Mary discuss how she was vulnerable to safeguard her kid on the grounds that Steve allegedly utilized his big name status to get away from arraignment, and one of Mary's companions who was with her when she announced the episode uncovered that a similar adjudicator who got Steve free from any bad behavior coerced both her and Mary for quite a long time to prevent them from discussing this in open. He was remaining there, going, gracious, this is terrible. You realize, how should a dad do this? Then, the second he figured out who the dad was, he headed straight back to me and said, would you like to squeeze charges on this? I said, okay. And he said, are you certain you believe should do that? And I said, for what reason shouldn't I not believe should make it happen? And he only sort of taken a gander at me and strolled off. So I went down to the police division to get the report that they finished up that evening, to put it with the remainder of the stuff, to take it to the adjudicator. Dry around then, to hold Wynton back from returning. The Plano Police Division wouldn't give me that report. They wouldn't give it to me. Mary likewise said that Wynton has never been something very similar since that occurrence, since he was a delicate kid in the first place. And after his own dad embarrassed and hurt him, something changed in him in light of the fact that my child was a delicate young man, a kind, sweet young man, and I never put my hands on him in his entire life. And for you to go from that to being severely beaten, unfamiliar, didn't end there, since Mary additionally uncovered that when Wynton was in school, Steve and Marjorie went off the deep end after they figured out Wynton had been conversing with his mother, and Steve sent